Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us today for our new knowledge session. My name is Sandy Ratliff. I'm with Virginia Community Capital, and we're one of the partners in this program with this is a collaboration with the Washington County Chamber of Commerce, the Virginia Highlands Small Business Incubator, and the town of Abington. It's hard to believe we've been doing this program since 2014 to support the Washington County Business Challenge, which, by the way, we're starting to plan for that in January of next year. But it's a way for our business community to learn new tips and kind of build their professional footprint in helping them grow and expand their businesses in Washington County and also throughout Virginia. So thanks for joining us today. This session is being recorded for education and training purposes, and after today's event, it will be available on the Virginia Highlands Small Business Incubator's Facebook page and also our YouTube channel, New Knowledge, and you can go there and also find archives of about probably 170 plus workshops that we've done over the past 9 years. For your information, we do have everyone muted. But if you have a question for our presenter today, if you will please post those in the Q&A section or chat, we will respond to those either during or after the event. This is for you, so we want to make sure you get the most out of it. I'm going to turn it over to my co-host today, Kathy Lowe. Kathy's Executive Director of the Virginia Highlands Small Business Incubator. And Kathy, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, Sandy. And I'm excited today to introduce someone who, for a brief minute, was an affiliate member here at Virginia Highlands Small Business Incubator. I've known Zack longer than he's known me. His grandmother and I had children in athletics together. So Zack is a Abington native. He is the owner of TriCities IT, and once we get off the call, I'm going to ask Zack to give me a call because I think I need some help. So, without further ado, I'm going to let Zack tell you a little bit about what his company does.
Sure. All right. Well, my name's Zack Harless, and I'm the owner and founder at TriCities IT Incorporated. We're a locally managed IT company. We manage IT for many small, medium, and large-scale businesses in the Tri-Cities area. And as far as today's subject goes, talking about cybersecurity and IT continuity. So very important topics nowadays that I believe that not a whole lot of people are as informed as they should be on the subject. So without further ado, we'll get started here and we'll go there. So a little bit about me. I'm the founder of TriCities IT. So my goal is to create a IT company in the Tri-Cities that gives cybersecurity solutions and backup solutions to small and medium-sized businesses in our area, so that we can basically make it so the tech in our area is just a little bit more joined together and things. So I'm a cybersecurity advocate. I want to make the world a better place. Obviously having a business is there's a lot of responsibility that comes with it, but when we're talking about cybersecurity, the amount of liability in the IT industry is pretty large. And, if we don't secure things ways that they should be, there are a lot of lives and livelihoods that could be lost. So I'm the director of IT at many local companies in the Tri-Cities. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Dharma Pharmaceuticals. They were the very first medical cannabis program in the state of Virginia. I was the IT director for that. There's a handful of other companies that my company does IT and manage cybersecurity for. And essentially, instead of them having their own in-house IT department, we're here and I I become basically their IT director, and my employees serve them as an extension of their company, like it is their own IT department. So that is the idea behind my company. So just moving on here to just talking about what is information technology. You know, it's something that we use in our everyday lives. You know, we're talking about hardware, software, services to support a running business on a day-to-day basis, whether it's your Wi-Fi that you can get connected with your cell phone or tablet, you know, logging on your computer, you know, logging on this Zoom message. Information technology runs our entire world, and without proper IT infrastructure, you know, the world kind of stops. So, or businesses can stop. So that's what's really important about, you know, having good IT infrastructure, but also having it secured on the cybersecurity level. So, you know, talking about today's digital world, like I said, you know, IT infrastructure runs the world, especially the business world. So, you know, most businesses, they're going to be crippled unless they have their IT infrastructure running properly. So whether that's their network, their internet speed, just on a hardware level, you know, an end user is trying to use Excel and it's operating really slow. Things like that, you know, can really cripple a business, and downtime is money. Slowness leads to more lost money and that kind of thing. So very important to have, you know, your IT infrastructure secured and running in top notch. So getting on to the main topic here, talking about cybersecurity. So, you know, physical security, you're talking about in a physical security sense, you think like surveillance cameras, you think alarm systems, all that kind of thing, you know, preventing unauthorized access of somebody physically from entering a building or things like that. When we talk about cybersecurity, we're talking about protecting corporate networks or even home networks, really, and preventing data breaches and preventing these hackers or criminals from getting into areas that they shouldn't be in. You know, it's a lot of crime, cyber crime going on nowadays, and it's really unfortunate. But there's many ways that we can prevent it, and we can. There's a lot of helpful things we can learn today that's hopefully helps prevent future cyber attacks on some level. So, it's talking about, you know, cyber threats. You know, we talk about computer viruses and fake emails that come in to try to steal your banking data or your passwords, all that kind of thing. What's the motive behind these hackers or these people that create these cyber threats? You know, the hackers, they can come from all different parts of the world. I mean, you know, there's some that are even in the United States that they want to do it for their own personal financial gain, and they're able to disguise themselves like they are in a foreign country or things like that. But you know, talking about your motivations behind why people put these cyber threats, these viruses out. I mean, number one, we're talking about financial gain. So a lot of these, you know, obviously they say money rules the world or whatever. So financial gain, ransomware. I don't know if anybody's heard of that. We'll dive into that here in a little bit. But ransomware, stealing credit card information, all that kind of thing. Motivations behind somebody stealing that information for their own financial gain. Espionage, you know, there's a lot of spying going on, especially when we're talking about politics and government and things like that. Cyber threats, lots of spying, screen recording. People can see your screen. People can see your webcam, those kind of things. It's a lot more common than people think. It does happen. And, you know, everybody's like, oh, Zach, you're trying to like scare tactic everybody. And like, I'm not trying to ever scare tactic anybody when I talk about some of these things, but it's what it comes down to is I want to create awareness on a lot of these things before some of these other businesses get affected by it. Because I've seen these cyber threats cripple a business, you know, pre me taking over, a lot of times I get brought into these cyber threat situations on the tail end. It's like, hey, what can we do from here? And we try to salvage what we can, and go from there. So identity theft, a lot of these hackers want to steal your identity. They sell your information on the dark web. The dark web is a blacklisted marketplace for many different illegal activities and things like that. If somebody gets somebody's identity, they can say, I'm going to sell Zack Harless's identity on the dark web for 2 Bitcoins or something. And this is what it includes. Like, you'll get his social security number, and you'll get his American Express number, and you'll get, access to this and that. Pretty common nowadays. That's why you see so many ads on TV for dark web monitoring and things like that. So finally, political agendas. There's a lot of cyber threats involved with, our world's transitioning from we're going into cyber warfare now. Talking about the world being ran by technology. The world's ran by technology, and one country is able to infiltrate another country in means of cyber. I mean, they can control parts of their infrastructure, cost them, downtime, which I said, leads to money, of course. So, crazy times we're living in, for sure. So, talking about some cybersecurity statistics from 2020. And when I do post this, I will have the sources cited on this. We have some slides in there for the sources, but I do have cited sources on this stuff. So talking about cybersecurity statistics from 2020. So for whatever reason, well, not for whatever reason, obviously 2020 was a really bad year for a lot of people. We had the pandemic, lots of major things happened in 2020. Cybercrime increased dramatically in 2020 from what it was the year before. And since 2020, the last couple of years, it's gone up even more from that. I think one of the main driving forces behind that is, people are shifting to a work from home environment. People having their computers at home, they're much less likely to be secured behind proper business corporate protocol. They're more susceptible to clicking on things on their own personal computer that doesn't have the proper protections that they would have on their business computer. So 86% of data breaches were caused by malicious attacks with financial motivations. So hackers trying to get into, say, a big company's data to lock it down, and we're going to charge this company $500,000 to be able to get access to their stuff again. That's a common case of ransomware, and I'll explain a little bit more about how ransomware works here in a minute. But financial motivations, big part of these data breaches and things like that. Again, data breaches, this data can also be sold on the dark web for money to other people, and for a big company, that data could get in the hands of a competitor or anything like that. So very important to secure that. 28% of data breaches involve, small businesses. So a lot of people think, well, they're not going to target my small business because they don't care. Actually, small businesses are a pretty major target because a lot of times they have less IT infrastructure than a medium to large scale company. And because of that, they are a target, and they're more, typically they're more vulnerable to these cyber threats than medium to large scale companies, just because of the size of their infrastructure, their IT staff or lack of IT staff having the knowledge to prevent those things. So 80% of data breaches contain personal identifiable information. So, like we're talking about, social security numbers, all that kind of thing. Very common for the breaches. Talking about a small dental practice, if a data breach happens there. So, even a small dental practice, every patient they see, every patient chart in there, every x-ray, that is one piece of information that's HIPAA information if that breach happens, it's very, it can be a bad thing. There's so many liabilities on so many different ends. And the means of securing this data is just so important. 23% of data breaches were a result of human error. That can just accidentally uploading something to the wrong place, sending an email to the wrong person. It happens. It's more common than people think. So, and then 80% of reported security incidents are due to phishing. So, email phishing, and I'll explain exactly what that is here in a second, but email phishing is the leading cause of how these cyber threats are able to get into people's systems. So talking about why cybersecurity should be your top priority, especially coming from a business owner's perspective. Global cybercrime costs are expected to reach $10.5 trillion annually by 2025. In contrast, we're talking about it was half of that 5 years ago. So, I mean, we're talking, tons of money every year. This thing is, cybercrime is costing so much money every year to all these businesses. So when you total all that up, we're expected to see 10.5 trillion annually by 2025. That's going to cost people in total. Talking about 2020 again, average time to identify a breach in 2020 was 228 days. A lot of times what happens in cybercrime is there will be some sort of threat or infection on your internal computer systems, and it kind of lives there. And it's like, let's see what I can get access to, but I'm not going to do something to expose myself super quickly. So it can kind of be like living kind of dormant. And it's like, all it takes is for one person to log into something and have an easy password somewhere. And then, it has access to more things. So a lot of times the faster you can identify something or in these networks, the better. So, and talking about data breaches, a lot of times people don't know that they were breached. I mean, it can be, a while before people understand that they've had that data breached. So experts estimate ransomware attacks to hit businesses every 11 seconds. So every 11 seconds, there's another business being hit by a ransomware attack. I can gladly say, in my 5 years of owning and founding TriCities IT, I've not had a single customer get ransomware or be affected by ransomware or the downtime effects of it. So that's something that I really wear proudly because we really strive for perfection. So ransomware is a crazy thing when you get into it. So only 49% of businesses surveyed Hiscox confirmed that they have a data breach and cyber insurance policy. So that's an insurance firm. They surveyed a bunch of companies and they said about half of them had a data breach and cyber insurance policy. So I feel that that's super vital for a business owner to have. Obviously, insurance is something you don't want to ever have to use, but it's something you have to have in case things happen. I strongly recommend contacting your local insurance agent and saying, like, do I have breach and cyber insurance coverage on my policy? Because it can happen, and you want to be able to make that claim when it does happen. Talking about common ways of how cyber threats are spread. You have malicious downloads with hidden or infected files. So, like, you're downloading what you think is a financial report or something, and it turns out that it has a virus enclosed in it. It can infect the system if there's not proper protocols put in place. That's somewhat common. And there's email phishing, which is the most common part. Email phishing is somebody pretending to be somebody else in an organization or somebody. Great example is, like, say you're a construction company and you're like, hey, can you take a look at this invoice? And it looks like it's coming from, say, the CEO of a construction company, sending it to one of the accounting staff. Well, they go to open that attachment on that email, and it's actually not an invoice. It's a virus ransomware, malware, whatever it may be. And then that's one of the common ways on how that stuff spreads. So, and finally, unsecured networks due to lack of proper IT practices. So we're talking about once something gets into that network, it can really spread unless you have proper protocols in place to prevent that from happening. So, talking about email phishing. What is email phishing? We're talking about the fraudulent practice of sending emails to pretend to be reputable or somebody consistently email to try to get personal information, bank information, passwords, credit card numbers, that kind of thing. You open a faulty attachment, or it can be something as simple as, going back to the construction company instance, it's saying, talk about the owner being, owner sends an email to the accounting staff and saying, hey, we need to wire $25,000 to this subcontractor. It needs to be done immediately. And then they're like, okay, yes, sir, because it looks like it's coming from the CEO who they really want to be on top of and they wire the money, and then it turns out it's going to somebody that's not legitimate, but it looked like it was legitimate coming from that CEO. Happens a lot more often than you would think. That particular instance, I have a customer that before they were my customer, that happened too. So definitely more common than you would think. So let's see if we can get this audio working here.
Phishing is a method of trying to gather personal information using deceptive emails and websites. Stay tuned for what you need to know about this increasingly sophisticated form of cyber attack. The goal of phishing is to trick an email recipient into believing that the message is something they want or need, a request from their bank, for instance, or a note from someone in their company, and to click a link or download an attachment. Fish is pronounced just like it's spelled, which is to say like the word fish. The analogy is of an angler throwing a baited hook out there, the phishing email, and hoping you bite. What really distinguishes phishing is that attackers masquerade as a trusted entity of some kind, often a real or plausibly real person or a company the victim might do business with. It might be your boss, your bank, or a company whose software you use. Perhaps one of the most consequential phishing attacks in history happened in 2016, when Russian hackers managed to get Hillary Clinton's campaign chair, John Podesta, to offer up the password to his personal Gmail account. How did they do it? The hackers sent an email warning Mr. Podesta that someone had his password and that he should change it immediately. Clicking on a link in the email took him to a fake login page. This is a classic ploy, and one all of us would hope we would see for what it is. But email scammers are constantly honing their craft, trying new pitches, and pulling new strings. One way to get familiar with their tactics is to study the email messages that scammers send. Here are a few real-world examples and how they work. 1. Your account has been hacked. The person sending this threatening phishing message found a group email that was publicly available on the company's site. Using that list to target the message was smart. Not so smart was the content of the message, in which the would-be attacker reveals a lack of understanding of how malware works. 2. Password reset. Taking advantage of the fact that no one wants to miss a paycheck, messages like this one aim to trick the user into revealing important data, often a username and password that the attacker can use to breach a system or account. 3. Payment request. This email has enough information specific to the target company to give even the most phishing-savvy recipients pause. The key to know these processes and to be able to spot anomalies. 4. Charity donation. Here the scammer is counting on the greed and gullibility of the recipient. This theme of giving something away for free is a common one and preys on human nature. The key thing to remember is if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Thanks for watching and stay safe out there.
All right. So talking about email phishing, let's see here. Talking about email phishing again, you know, most common way for these cyber threats to get in, malicious attachments, malicious links, that kind of thing. You know, kind of knowing what to look for is really important, you know. Just user awareness is really what prevents that. That and, you know, having proper spam filters in place. You know, at TriCities IT, we utilize a piece of software that essentially sits on top of the email server that an organization would utilize, and it uses artificial intelligence to identify kind of what is acceptable and what is not. An example of this is when we onboard a customer with that email filter, we can take all the executives and we can put them into the system and say, hey, this is the job of this person. This is the chief accountant. This is what this person does. And it kind of analyzes and sees day to day how people email each other, kind of what they ask for, kind of typical conversations between one another, so that when a phishing email comes in and it looks like it's from one of the users of that organization asking for something atypical, it flags it and quarantines it for our manual review at our support desk here. One of our staff then review that and they decide whether or not it's phishing or not. There's so many different things that can trigger that, but it uses the AI engine, the artificial intelligence, to kind of understand how people communicate, their verbiage, their spelling on a daily basis. To if something atypical comes in, it can flag it. So very cool piece of software, and it's definitely prevented many phishing attacks for our customers. So talking about ransomware. So ransomware is kind of the biggest, baddest malware attack of them all, and it's probably what you've heard about on the news. All the major news networks, you've for sure heard about some kind of cyber attack that's most likely ransomware that causes huge downtime or amounts of money. Last Christmas, Kronos time clock suffered from a ransomware attack, and it delayed some people's paychecks by up to 2 weeks. Big, very scary stuff, but having the proper protocols in place can definitely prevent it. So ransomware is a form of malware that targets and locks the most valuable files and demands payment to them. So we have a little ransomware video here we'll check out, and hopefully we can get it to play here. Let's see here. This thing. That's odd. The irony of having an IT company and making a PowerPoint and the video doesn't work. Let me see here. I think I can pull it from a different source. Just 1 second, just bear with me. I apologize.
You log on to your computer just like you do every day.
Let's see here. I can stop sharing that screen and I can share it via here we go.
You log on to your computer just like you do every day, only to see your screen locked and device unable to boot up. A message demanding money or bitcoins appears instead. It's the moment that every computer or mobile device user dreads: ransomware. Ransomware is a form of malicious software or malware which restricts access to your computer or mobile device or encrypts data until you pay a ransom in exchange for accessing your device or data again. One typical example of ransomware is called deadcryptor, which locks your devices and files until you're forced to pay a ransom. The payment that this malware demands is 2 bitcoins, which is more than $1,000. This form of cyber blackmail is one of the most dangerous forms of malware today, and one that's spreading rapidly worldwide. The number of users infected with ransomware keeps growing, along with continued increases in ransomware modifications, making it a constantly evolving threat. 2 forms of ransomware are currently the most widely used around the world: locker and crypto ransomware. Locker ransomware locks you out of basic computer functions, forcing you to pay a ransom to regain control. Crypto ransomware, on the other hand, encrypts sensitive data like documents and important files, threatening to destroy them unless you pay a fee. The 3 main ways ransomware can infect your computer is through spam, spear phishing, and watering hole attacks. Scareware tactics are also used to spread ransomware by creating fake software or messages purporting to be from a legitimate source, but actually demand that you pay a ransom to regain control of your computer. As dangerous as ransomware is, you're not helpless against it. It's important to know how to recognize how ransomware is spread, and the defensive measures you can take to stop it before it becomes a serious problem. Avoid phishing scams that spread ransomware by not opening any suspicious emails or links, and also avoid visiting any suspicious websites that may contain ransomware. Know how to recognize scareware tactics by cyber criminals too. Be sure to back up your computer or mobile device and always use up-to-date internet security software equipped with specific anti-ransomware technologies. Above all, never pay a ransom, as it only emboldens the cyber criminals behind these scams. Ransomware is a serious threat that can affect you and all computer and mobile device users. But by knowing how to avoid it and by using up-to-date security software, you can stay safe. Do your
All right, so ransomware, like we talked about, it's something that's very common nowadays. Definitely most popular threat in the mainstream media. So, talking about how we can prevent some of these cyber threats for the end user. If you're a business owner, you want to ensure that your company's using a business grade firewall. I mean, extremely important there. Proper filtering packages. Firewall is kind of your gatekeeper from what comes into from the public internet into your private company's internet. It kind of keeps control of all the data flow going back and forth, and ensuring the filtering of the base level filtering of any kind of malicious threats and that kind of thing. Obviously, having proper antivirus software that's installed, enabled, and monitoring it all the time. Windows Defender is honestly, it's free and it comes with Microsoft. I mean, it's honestly pretty decent. Making sure Windows Defender is installed and on your computer can help a tremendous amount. So, and talking about performing monthly malware scans with a tool such as Malwarebytes, it doesn't hurt to download the program Malwarebytes and run a scan on it. It's a free tool. Scan once a month with it. It's always up to date on the most common threats and things like that. Running that scan manually once a month can do a tremendous amount. Some of these things are some of the things that we do at TriCities IT on behalf of businesses in the background, so that the end users don't have to. And that's part of why managed IT exists. Using complex passwords, I recommend 8 characters, a capital letter, a number, and a symbol. There's these things called brute force attacks, and they can try to guess your password to common things you log in every day. And very common passwords are easily guessable, and a decent artificial intelligence brute forcing engine can guess simple passwords pretty quick. So 8 characters long, capital letter, a number, and a symbol. And you're going to be pretty solid. So one big thing that's kind of new in the last few years, as far as end users go, is 2-factor authentication. So if you ever logged into something and it's like, hey, can I send you a text with a code to be able to log in as a second step in addition to your password? I preach this to a lot of people. I know that a lot of folks are trying to get used to this and kind of thing, and that they see it as an inconvenience, but it can be a lifesaver. Having two-factor authentication turned on in your organization, whether it be your email or logging into your payroll system or whatever it may be, 90% of applications nowadays have some form of two-factor authentication. So having that enabled is very, very smart. Keep Windows updates turned on automatic. Very, very easy to do. So just go in your Windows settings and make sure Windows updates are set to automatic, and ensuring you're browsing on a secure connection. There's a little lock in the top left of your web browser. If there's no lock there, it could mean you're browsing unsecured. So try to browse on a secured encrypted connection. Most websites are, some of them aren't, but if they're not, I would try to ask your IT help desk person for assistance on what to do if it is unsecured. So always ask everybody, does your business have a proper cybersecurity plan? Most don't. I've never seen a company that we've onboarded actually have a really proper one in place. That's kind of why we exist and we help. Only real way to completely secure your network is to work with cybersecurity experts in the IT industry. There's several around here other than me, and getting in touch with cybersecurity and IT consultants is really important when it comes to this side of stuff when you're a business owner trying to run a company. So a lot of times people think like, oh, this is going to cost a lot of money. Sounds expensive, but they're really cost effective, especially when you're talking about in terms of would I rather pay this much to secure it, or would I rather pay 50 times that much when a cyber threat gets into your network and you're having to, pay to get it fixed. Leads to downtime, employees can't work, that kind of thing. It can really lead to a lot of expensive expenses for sure. Consult with your local IT about ensuring there's proper cybersecurity infrastructure tactics in place. Like I said, that business firewall, proper antivirus software on your corporate network and all that kind of thing. So like I said, the downtime costs money. So continuity in IT. So talking about just maintaining infrastructure, making sure it's staying up and online, available for people to work, making sure data is back up, and making sure that data is ready to go in the event that you have to restore data from a backup. So backup is like if you take an image copy or a clone of a set of data on a certain date or time, and then you store that kind of like in a vault, and you hope you never have to use it, but it's there kind of almost as an insurance policy. If something happens, whether it's your server gets stolen or catches on fire or hacked into, whatever it may be, you want to make sure that you have a backup ready to go to get your organization back up and going as soon as possible. So, I'd say this time and time again, the most vital part of any IT infrastructure is proper backup and disaster recovery. That's the number one thing we focus on at TriCities IT. Is backup and disaster recovery. We even put it before cybersecurity, a little bit before, but backup and disaster recovery is so important because if you don't have backups to restore your records from, do you even really have a business? Think about like a small dental practice losing all their records, having no backups. Literally, if it's all digital, they can't operate. Like they might as well close shop. That's what it comes down to. On something like this. So very important. I preach it time and time again. Backup and disaster recovery plans are very vital. So cost of data loss, there's a lot of cost in it, average cost of downtime per minute is $1,410 per minute. That's an average based on, all businesses, big and small. So for a big company, say like Amazon or Microsoft, that's factoring those averages in to even small businesses like ourselves around here, and get an average per minute of downtime on that. So a lot of businesses use cloud services as part of their data protection strategy, and most breaches, again, involved have personally identifiable information. And this does have cited sources on here. So talking about the cloud. So the cloud, cloud-based email, cloud-based file storage, all that kind of thing. Is my data safe in the cloud? It's secure as far as, I wouldn't worry about a Microsoft or Google employee like looking at your emails or anything like that. But if you accidentally delete a file or an email out of your inbox, it's like, how easy is it to get back once it's permanently deleted? Ensuring your cloud services are backed up to a third party other than Microsoft or Google is critical to prevent data loss. That's another one of the things we offer here is we actually back up like your Office 365 business email to a third party cloud. So in the event that you accidentally delete an email or a file off of that, we can grab it and restore it from that much quicker than Microsoft could if they have a backup of the time frame you're looking for. So, and talking about, I ask every company this when we onboard them at TriCities IT. Do you currently have any kind of backup and disaster recovery plan in place? We'll ask their former IT company, what's the plan? And 9 times out of 10, they have zero information for me on that. So we've not onboarded a customer yet with a proper backup and disaster recovery plan in place. So when I onboard a customer, I say, okay, this is what's vital for their business to run every day. They need this part, and this part. We're going to back that data up. And if something happens, here's the steps we're going to take to remediate and get that customer back up and going. So they're able to work again and eliminate that downtime. So on average, our company with our backup and disaster recovery plan, if we have a customer that, their server has to be completely replaced, we can restore it guaranteed within about 4 hours per server in our place. So we're not talking about days. We're not talking about weeks. We're talking about, a few hours to get a customer back up and going from a complete standstill point. If we, have that proper backup and disaster recovery plan in place. So without that proper plan, companies can suffer from long periods of downtime, which of course leads to lost revenue, increased spending on, payroll, because then you have to pay overtime for people to get their job done after hours. And I mean, it can just compound and get really bad. So anybody like to learn more about all this stuff? I'll do a one-on-one session with anybody who'd like to learn more. Feel free to email me. We do free cybersecurity consultations. We look at your IT infrastructure. We can do some penetration testing. We can tell you where you're weak, typically pretty quickly, and we can compile a report, and we do that complimentary for just about anybody. So if y'all want to do a one-on-one session, anybody feel free to email me, and I'd be more than happy to get a lunch with you or come by your office place or whatever and talk cybersecurity, whether it's as simple as you just have some questions about how you can prevent yourself or how you can protect your business or your company. So anyway, all that being said, that's my presentation for today. And this is my first one I've ever done. So I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little bit nervous, but I was a little bit nervous. But first one, I really want to start doing more of these because I really want to spread cybersecurity awareness. I really want to try to break things down into layman's terms even a little bit more and help people really fully understand. But like I said, this is the first one I've done, and it can only get better from here. So
Thank you, Zach. You did a great job. Does anybody have any questions about the topic or the services that TriCities IT provides?
I would like to know about the services that TriCities IT provides.
Sure. See if I can briefly pull up another PowerPoint here. I have a quick little deal I can show you all. Let's see, I'll screen share here.
Zach, while you're looking for that, what would you say are the 2 or 3 most common things for people that work out of their home? For example, they could be consultants or just have home offices that they fail to do on their devices.
Most common thing I've seen is not properly utilizing two-factor authentication. Really simple passwords. Those are 2 biggest things there. A lot of people like to use the same password for everything just because it's easier to remember and things like that. Personally, I have probably about 5 different passwords I use, and I try to scatter them around. Like, I won't use the same password for, like if I have a Chase credit card and American Express credit card, those are 2 separate passwords, but I might use that same password for a different login, if that makes sense. But a lot of people use the same password too often, not complex enough passwords, and they don't utilize that 2-factor authentication.
Okay, thanks.
Yep, you're welcome. Yeah, so TriCities IT, basically what we do is we're a all-in-one complete IT provider that can be tailored for any size of business. So basically what we do is we come in and we look at what you're doing on a day-to-day basis at your business. We see what kind of infrastructure you currently have in place. Do you have a file server? Do you use QuickBooks? Do you use, all the different common small business tools? And then we kind of create a customized quote, and we charge a monthly fee, and it's all under one umbrella. And that monthly fee covers us as your IT department 100%. So you call us with help desk issues as easy as my computer's running slow, or I can't print, or any of that stuff, and we're able to provide that. On the end user end and on the back end, we're securing your IT infrastructure. On the cybersecurity level, we're providing that anti-phishing stuff, and we're making sure your business is going to be up and going 24/7, 365 when it needs to be. So,
thank you. That's great information.
Yeah. And
so do you have any recommendations for companies that you work with that provide services for use of software like Microsoft products, or do you all do that?
So we are a Microsoft 365 partner. We sell the Microsoft 365 licenses. We typically sell them at the same price that Microsoft would, but we are offering the backup and the spam filtering, and as far as the email goes, with them as an added benefit. So we're a 365 partner, and we can sell those email accounts and those kind of things.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
I'd much rather have purchased that from you than
Microsoft. Yeah.
Than somebody you don't know.
Yeah, and it gives you somebody to call to. You don't have to call a call center that might have people that are a little bit difficult to understand. And it gives you somebody local to call instead of somebody just telling you over the phone, like, hey, have you tried turning it off and back on?
So Zach, we do have an attendee that wants to know what your thoughts on using a pattern for passwords, thus making every password different but easy to remember. An example, a symbol, favorite pet, site number.
Yeah, let's see here, Q&A here. A password like that is actually going to be the most secure. It's going to be even more secure than the 8-character, 1 capital, 1 symbol, what I was talking about. That being said, the reason I didn't bring that up specifically was a lot of people, struggle to remember their passwords already, and having a different one like that for every different thing. I think using the 8-character system with the capital letter, the number, and the symbol in combination with 2-factor is just about as good as it gets. I mean, it's more than standard, but I have some symbols I have some pattern passwords that I use for critical infrastructure just to secure those for our customers. Any other questions?
I don't see any, but I do thank you for participating in the new knowledge today. And I think Zach is going to provide this PowerPoint to Sandy, and she can distribute it to all of the attendees.
Yeah.
And the next new knowledge is, Sandy, do you have the date?
Yeah, it is September the 21st, and it will be on making your mark, the importance of logo design and your identity. That's going to be led by Stephen Longstaff. He's with Longstaff Creative in Richmond, and has been in the branding business for a good number of years. And Zach, just a quick question: is there any software that you recommend folks have on their devices, especially home offices?
Yeah. Talking about Malwarebytes for your malware scanning, I will make a slide. I'll add a slide to that, and I'll make a slide on that so that we can have a list of software with their download links that I recommend, just as an easy baseline practice. So
that'd be great.
Yeah, I can do that. Mm-hmm.
And again, if you'll send me an email, Zach, I want to talk to you about a couple of things.
Sure. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, if you're available after this, I can give you a call if that works.
Okay, that works just fine.
Perfect.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for all the attendees for attending this class, and we hope to see you again on the 21st.
Thanks, everybody. And don't forget, the video will be up on the Virginia Highlands Small Business Incubator's Facebook page, and then our New Knowledge channel on YouTube. So you can hear it again. Thanks, everybody. Have a blessed day.
Awesome.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all.